Who do we turn to as municipalities head for the cliff? Only 18 out of 257 municipalities managed to get clean audits for the previous financial year. That is 7%, not even the 30% needed to pass a subject in school. But first, the Office of the Public Protector. Yes, it is in the news today as it was yesterday and the day before that. At this rate, we should be worried if the Office of the Public Protector is not on the news agenda. But a crucial question is Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane really playing politics? We ask her Deputy Advocate Kevin Malunga, who joins me in studio. Good evening, I'm Aldrin Simpier, and this is the Politburo.
Given recent court judgments against rulings, you remember the court judgment against APSA and the court judgment recently against the Estina investigations, that the court have asked us that they be reversed. And of course, some of the recent rulings, for instance, the ruling on Minister Pravin Gordhan, that she made a report just on the eve of his appointment, which was quite clear even before that there was a mischievous intention to try and tarnish him, and therefore taking away the fairness and the justness of that particular office, including its sense of work without prejudice. So in this regard, we feel that that office has been undermined, it's been abused, it's been used factionally to fight political battles in the movement, and therefore we request that Parliament constitute an investigation to look into a credibility to hold such critical office, because actually the primary mandate of the office is to look for the interest of the general public, largely those who cannot afford the legal fees. But you could see, if you look into the investigations, it's basically high-level kind of investigations involving top people that have got access to resources that can actually defend themselves.
And joining me now in Studio is the Deputy Public Protector, Advocate Kevin Malunga. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Just a quick reaction to what Solly Mapaila is saying there. He's speaking about the office being used for factional battles within the movement.
Thanks, Aldrin. That's the beauty of constitutional democracy, in the sense that Mr. Mapaila can express his views without any fear of recrimination in a constitutional state. That is his right. He's got a right to be right and a right to be wrong as well. Mm-hmm. Where he is correct is that the institution does get used, just like the courts as well, for political battles. But that does not emanate from the office itself. Mm-hmm. You have complaints which can be very political in nature from political office bearers across the country. Nkandla, for example, was a DA complaint. Yeah, so it is political. We work in a political space. Mm-hmm. That will concede.
Does it mean that the Office of the Public Protector could be then complacent in allowing politicians to use the Office of the Public Protector for their own political battles?
We are the sole institution with a mandate to exercise oversight over the Executive Members Ethics Act, right? We are the custodians, as it were, of executive ethics in this country. So in that context, we then get caught up in the crossfire of politically laced complaints, which we cannot refuse because they're within jurisdiction. If you check who is complaining, for example, under executive members' ethics, it's a member of parliament, it's a member of the executive, or maybe the president himself, and we will then look: is this within jurisdiction? And the public protector doesn't even have a choice when it comes to.
She must.
Yes, she must investigate. So that's correct. Mm-hmm. I saw even Gwede Mantashe, the chairperson, said that. Yeah, true. I'm going to grant it to him. Correct answer. You pass mark, Mr. Mantashe. But where you are wrong is where this emanates from. It is political in nature. We can't say to Mr. Musi Maimane, don't complain about Bosasa, or Mr. Floyd Chivambu, don't complain about Bosasa, because they're the complainants in those matters. So I think they're shooting at the wrong messenger.
Okay, so when Solly Mapaila speaks about the office being used for political reasons, at some point also speaking at a Nahau event, the Public Protector's Office then demanded that he retracts the statement. Why would the Public Protector's Office demand that he retracts the statement if you are saying that he has every...
Because it was personalized, you know, to actually directed at the person of Busisiwe Mkhwebane, you know. So, because that's not all, what you said there is not all that he said.
Yeah.
So what I'm conceding to is the fact that the institution is used for political purposes, and that is a fact. You know, it's not new. It was happening under Public Protector Advocate Malunga. I've been doing this for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
So I have been caught up in the vortex of this. This is not new.
But then, with Gwede Mantashe at least, is the Public Protector playing politics or playing in the political field?
Of course it is.
Yeah?
Of course. Yes. The complaints are political in nature. But they happen, as I'm saying, to comply with the Executive Members Ethics Act. So the DA, the EFF, sometimes the ANC. For example, the Mareta Okamp complaint in Tshwane was made by ANC functionaries against a DA-led municipality. So it's nothing new. So what is also wrong is also the numbers. The numbers, the thousands of matters that are being investigated by the office are what we call your so-called bread and butter matters. You know, thousands per year. So that clip is also inaccurate. But as I said, people have a right to speak politics. I mean, I'm not working in the political space.
Okay, let's speak about the statement issued by the Presidency earlier on today around the investigation or the steps that the President was expected to take after the report by Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane relating to Public Enterprises Minister, as well as 2 other people implicated in the pension fund of Ivan Pillay. The President says here that he has now responded to the Public Protector, and it almost sounds that he believes that that is sufficient. But the Business Day is carrying a story that the President, that the Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane believes that the President failed to uphold the Constitution.
Okay, the Business Day is not the Public Protector of the public. And they're not the custodians of executive ethics and accountability. Let's start off there. So what the media writes is, feel free to, it's important, but the bottom line is the laws of the country. And the courts have made it very clear that when you have remedial action, you know, it kicks in. And of course, if you don't like it, you challenge it, and only a court can reverse it. So, the point that has to be made here is that I don't want to focus on this particular matter because it tends to undermine some of what you've been asking earlier on. What else are we doing? You know what I mean? We don't have special people or special ministers, etc. So we have noted the President's response, and we're going to look at it going ahead as a team. But as I'm saying, the law is very clear. Okay,
and let's make that distinction, because some quarters believe that when the Public Protector's report is out, that remedial action must be implemented, irrespective of the report being taken on review. Do you agree with that?
You must get an interdict. That's what the court says.
So there's no interdict in this case?
There's no interdict in this case. But of course, I think, look, naturally, within the nature of litigation, people have various interpretations, and we will, you know, obviously.
So would it be fair to say then that the President has failed to uphold the Constitution?
This is a work in progress.
I do understand that, but right now,
you must remember,
with the facts in front of us.
Yes.
Now that we have this statement that has been released by the Presidency, and you also have the facts that are in front of you, do we then say that the President has failed to uphold the Constitution as per the facts that we have? You saying that there is no interdict, can we then say that?
What I'm going to say is that this is sub judice, and of course the courts will clarify this in finer detail as we go ahead. You will recall also that we are also busy with the investigation of the President himself.
Yeah.
In a matter that has been lodged by the leader of the DA, Musi Maimane, and Deputy President of the EFF, Floyd Shivambu.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just take you through what we have done there, because I think it's very important.
Okay, so you're not going to answer the question on whether the President has failed to uphold the Constitution?
He hasn't, not yet. Certainly not. Yeah.
So that's still a test that has to be made?
Yes.
Okay.
It hasn't. Yeah.
Okay, but firstly, before we get to that, the President also then speaks here about the recommendations, and this is something that you listened to Ulrich Roux, who was speaking earlier on, speaking about that it would be in the President's right to take a step back, because there is this report that has been taken on review. Is that correct?
You know what? I think a lot of the analysts, granted, that's a lawyer, analyst is a lawyer. They're very partisan in their interpretation of these things. You know, lately there's this culture of let's please the president, new dawn. Even a judgment writes about the new dawn.
Is that problematic?
Very problematic.
Side note, is it problematic?
It is very problematic in terms of objectivity. That was very erroneous of the three judges of the Gauteng High Court to do that. So we were used to that. Ours is not to dabble in the political space. We give you what is acceptable in law. And then we say, okay, you know, take it or leave it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before we move on from this particular matter. So, if the expectation from the public protector is that the president must take disciplinary action against Pravin Gordhan, what if he successfully challenges the public protector's report and the public protector's findings?
That's fine. That's the.
But then disciplinary action would have taken over.
Yes, look, I think
that is unfair, don't you agree?
The issue at hand here is obviously the fact that a lot of these things are still being clarified. I mean, 2016 we didn't even have the EFF versus Speaker judgment, which has now put us into this minefield of multiple challenges and so forth. We didn't have this when I worked, for example, with Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, because the courts hadn't clarified this. So this is still a work in progress. And what I'm going to say is, obviously, I think we are doing our work. And of course, we expect that certainly the president, I mean, to his credit, he has been very good in terms of compliance and the kind of rapport that he has with the institution. I have nothing to fault the president in that regard. Whereas some of the people who are working under him in terms of certain ministers and so forth, not just now, but even before, sometimes they forget that this is a constitutional institution to which they are accountable. Okay,
and then let's move on quickly to the Busasa investigation. How soon will that report be finalized?
We will complete it during the course of July.
During the course.
Today is the 1st of July.
Yeah.
So you can give us 31 days maximum. We probably will have.
So by the 1st of August, we should have.
Yes. Part of the issues are outstanding responses, for example, from Mr. Kevin Watson. So progress thus far regarding the investigation. We've received the president's response to the Section 79 notice last Thursday. The public protector is studying it and, of course, applying her mind in preparation to finalize the investigation report. Then, of course, the president invoked what is Section 79A2, or, you know, requesting to question witnesses. And the public protector decided that this will be done by way of written questions from the president to one of the witnesses, Mr. Watson.
I'm sorry, Advocate, we're running out of time, but just a final question. The public protector has argued that the basis of this investigation, the Busasa matter, is because the president at the time was the deputy president of the country, which means that the umbrella of the Executive Ethics Code would have applied. But some people are saying that there were actually 7 members of the ANC who were competing to become president of the ANC. Shouldn't that investigation then also widen and also include some ministers, including the likes of Lindiwe Sisulu, the likes of Jeff Radebe, because they too were ministers at the time? Shouldn't they also too be investigated?
Yeah, some of that is probably beer garden gossip. Eh? You know what you are alluding to. You know, the reality of the fact is. It's the complainant, Mr. Maimane, who complained.
But the public protector can initiate her own investigations.
Yes, but and truth be told, you know, if there is a complaint against, for example, Mr. Zweli Mkhize, who was a candidate, we will do so. We have no qualms against that. I think very often people tend to shoot the messenger. You know, if someone has a complaint against any of the 7, please, they should be our guest. Come and complain. But I think right now you get a free-for-all where someone, a bashing exercise, when people forget that this is a complaint brought by two politicians that who have said, investigate A, B, and C.
Okay, then. Thank you so much,
Advocate
Kevin Malunga. Appreciate your time. The
Thanks.
Deputy Public Protector. When we continue, we shift gears and we look into local government. This is the Politburo.